Hi and welcome to another Checiegirl Creation DIY video. Today we'll be working on this 5x7 card. It comes in a pack of 50. They come like this and all you have to do is fold it. It's already creased for you to be able to fold it. And this, I'm using some embossing and watercolour. So the splats of watercolour, I coloured in the baubles with watercolour and I embossed it, of course, before I watercoloured. I also drew in the lines with this permanent black pen. So I also used this DIY Misty, and I made this off of the instructions from this other video, and I'll link that either in the description below or in an iCard, top right hand corner. And I probably will make a video because I came into quite a few bumps in the road making this, so just so that you guys know that if you want to make one like this, you don't make the mistakes that I did. So I'm using, oh, and there's quite a squeak with the hinges, but it's affordable. So I'm making this with stamps. So I used this bauble stamp and these two bauble stamps, but this card will be a bit different. I was thinking that I can do a tree, but not this one. I'll use this one, and this is all in preparation for a craft fair, but it would have already passed by the time you're watching this video. So this is why I'm using this, because then I'm able to plan out what I want. And I can stamp it with quite a few times if I don't stamp it correctly, and you'll see that in a little bit. So I'm thinking this tree would be nice with the sentiment "Merry Christmas to you." But before I stamp it, I have to fold this in half. So I'm butting this up against the edge, and I'll just place this kind of in the middle. So I'm wanting this a bit lower. Okay, so first I'm going to stamp this with some Stays On ink. And you see, you just fold it over and then press it down. And then I'll stamp it with some embossing powder. Oh, but before I do that, because I don't want to make that mistake again, I've made my own anti-static pouch just with a piece of fabric and baby powder in it. It works really well. In my past video I used craft paper, and you can see that there is no embossing powder left. So you just wipe it on just to make sure, and you don't have to put much on it. And I'll make a video of how I made that. This was just put together really quickly. This was just a scrap, and I just used some double-sided tape because I was rushing, because I forgot that I hadn't done that, and I didn't want to have any embossing powder going where it shouldn't. So I'm just going to ink up the stamps, which is out of screen at the moment, but and my Stays On isn't the juiciest, so this is really good that I can re-ink it without having to worry about messing it up, especially when the craft fair is this Saturday and I don't have a lot of time. So just put even pressure, and you see it's not completely, so I just have to stamp it up again, and I can do this as many times as I want because I'm using this stamping tool. You can also secure your card using some masking tape, but I didn't feel like I had to do that this time. Right, so that's got enough ink on it, and I just used this rag. This is just from my old trousers. I spritz it with some water to wipe off and clean the stamp. Right, so now that I think that I have enough coverage of the embossing ink, I'm going to put some embossing powder on, and I'm just using this to catch whatever embossing powder needs to, and I'm using clear embossing powder, and you really don't need a lot of this, which is why it lasts so long. Ooh. So you just flick it off, and there's no embossing powder where you don't want it because we use the anti-static pouch. And when you start to emboss, you want to preheat your heat gun so it embosses pretty quickly, because you don't want to warp the card too much. Right, so that's all embossed. Looks really nice. And I do want to add a few pen strokes with this fine liner, just to make it look as if the tree's sitting on something, so it's not as if it's floating. It makes it look as if it's standing on something. So now for the watercolor. Now I'm using Cotman watercolors, Winsor & Newton Cotman watercolors. It's the 14-pack Sketchers Pocket Box, and this is really nice. It's a student paint, but I really like it. The colors are nice and vibrant. So for this, I'm going to put it on a board, and this is waterproof because I covered it with something, and I'll tape it to the board so that we can start painting. Right, so I just used some masking tape, and I take off the tacky by putting the masking tape on my trousers so that it's not as tacky anymore. And I'm going to tape down both sides because I don't want any paint getting on the underneath. Right, so I'm just using this brush as a size 8 by C White. And I'll just be using green, probably some red and yellow. And I'm not wetting my paint beforehand. Just having a nice wet paintbrush. And when you emboss the image, it acts like a resist. So I can come close to the ornaments and the bows, but I don't have to worry about going in and over the lines because of the resist that the embossing gives. And with the ornament card, I wet the surface before and then just went in and dabbed colour, but I wanted to be kind of different with this one. And when you're doing this, you don't want to do too much to it because this isn't a watercolor paper, it's a cardstock, which means it can peel really easily. And you, of course, you don't want that to happen because then it looks a tad damaged. So now that that's done, I'm not too sure if I want to add splats. I quite like it like this. You know what I'll add? I'll add some silver. I have some silver paint, silver craft paint. I can just put a bit. I'm just covering the other side to ensure that I don't get any splats on it. And there. So, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and you see how easily I was able to take off the masking tape because I took off the tack. So I hope this gave you some ideas on card making. And please join me again for another arty adventure. Bye!